Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session today about the Vision 2035. I'm going to be leading the conversation, facilitating the conversation of this panel. We want to have a very dynamic conversation to talk about the results of the Vision 2035. But I would like to make a couple of initial remarks here. I'm Spaniard, so feel free to congratulate me for the win yesterday on Wimbledon. And we have a few Argentinians here that are complaining, so you can congratulate them. They didn't win Wimbledon, but still, it's okay. So again, the goal here today is, actually we say there's two goals. One is surviving this cold of this room. Hopefully we can all make it. And the second one is, as I said, reviewing the results of the Vision 2035 project. So we want this to be a very dynamic session. So through your app, you can actually send questions to the panelists. Of course, we have a set of questions that we're going to review with them. But I think it'd be great if you can post your questions in the app. And I have this tablet where I would be able to see what you send. So please feel free to do it all along the presentation, right? So I think we have a privilege of having three amazing people, amazing internal auditors here. I said people and internal auditors, right? Because they are both things. So, I mean, yeah, they are people. I know, but I say amazing people. Anyway, so let me introduce them to you first, and I think we have a slide for that. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll start with me. As I said, well, I'm Javier Faleato. I'm the Executive Vice President of Global Strategy and Affiliate Relations at the IIA. And then we have, well, I'll start with Massimiliano Turconi. He is the head of internal audit of TIM Telecom Italy. But Massimiliano has an amazing experience in internal audit. He's worked for Heineken, for Ferrero. He has a long career in internal audit, even though he's very young, but he has a very long career.
I look young.
And a good thing that you should know about Massimiliano, he loves running. He not just he runs marathons and all of that, but also you will see him running everywhere. Everywhere he goes,
that's true.
He runs, right? So,
especially during the night because of the jet lags.
Yes. So please welcome Massimiliano.
Thank you.
Helen Lee. Helen, thanks for being here. Helen is the Group Chief Auditor of the Bank of East Asia, right?
Still there?
Again, still there, yes. Again, Helen has a long career in internal audit. He's worked for listed companies in China, in the US, in UK as well. She's been volunteer for the IIA for many, many years. And I would share from her that she's an avid dancer, right? Helen dances.
10 years ago.
But you said you resumed it. You're starting again, right?
Yes, recently as a hobby, yes.
So you might see her dancing tonight at the Gala dinner. And then we have Mohamed Al-Kazani. Last but not least, of course, Mohamed, thank you very much for being here with us. Mohamed is the Director of Special Audits, which sounds really cool, in Aramco. I'm sure you know Aramco is one of the largest companies in the world. He's from Saudi Arabia. He has a long career in internal audit in different positions in Aramco. And he comes from an IT background, which is, I think, also a very important point for this session, right? So, as you see, we have a... Oh, yes, please. Thank you. As you see, we have a very diverse panel here. We represented different regions, different industries, and that's exactly what we wanted, right? Because, I mean, as you know, internal audit is one profession, global profession, but it's applied differently, right? That's the reason our set of standards are principle-based, right? Because that's the way we think we need to rule the profession. And we would like to hear the perspectives from them on these different matters, understanding their different backgrounds, right? So let's start. I'm sure you were all listening very carefully to Anthony's presentation this morning. So he shared the results of the Vision 2035 project. So we do not intend in this session to go through the results, because you're going to have the report. It's going to be uploaded in our website, not just the PDF report, but also we've created an online experience. You will see infographics, you will see lots of supplementary guidance to the report. So what actually we want to hear from the panelists today is their experience, their views for the future, how they see the challenges that we're facing as a profession, right? And again, feel free to send any questions, right? So let's start with that, right? Let's start with the challenges, right? So I put a slide there on screen. Those are the 5 top challenges that the Vision2035 project identified. So I would like to start hearing your perspectives about some of these challenges, right? For instance, you see the first one is being misunderstood or undervalued, right? Do you feel misunderstood or undervalued in your companies? I don't know, Helen, for instance, how you feel it?
I guess I'm lucky because internal value is highly respected in my company. But I think it's a journey, actually, to change that perspective. I still remember my first day on the job. I bumped into a group of management executives in the lift. And the moment they know I'm the auditor, it's like a step back.
Yeah,
you know.
Right. That resonates, right?
Yeah, but I think it does take time to cultivate that trust that internal auditor here is to help, not to criticize. But now when they have a problem, they phone me up saying, hey, Helen, what's your view? Can you help us benchmark what our peer banks are doing?
You come from the financial sector.
Yes, I work in the banking
group. It's more mature when it comes to internal audit sometimes. What about telecoms, for instance, Massimiliano? What challenges you face? You can recognize that.
I think. Can you hear me?
I'm not sure if it's working.
Yeah, I think that the problem when we discuss these topics, we don't represent the full, let's say, the full.
Sorry, can you hear him well? No, I don't think it's working.
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah, better.
Better there.
I think so, yeah.
But I think we don't represent the full community because most of us, at least in this case, we work in a big multinational, listed company, very structured, big departments. And we have the tendency to say, now it's all fine. They see us a trusted advisor, strategic partner, whatever, which is not the case totally. But what about the others? I mean, the majority of the others are working medium, small-sized departments, and they represent the audit profession anyway. I think in our case specifically, we don't have such problem because I think, the audit department is big in terms of size. We have the majority of, let's say, the skills we need. But there is an history of being more an assurance provider than an advisor. Because the company is complex, there are a lot of risk, we do a lot of assurance activities, and one of the traps we have that we report straight to the board and to any other, so not to the CEO, not to any other. That is good for the independency point of view, and we may touch it later, but to report it only to the board, that is fine, but you need to play a good role because otherwise everybody see you as not their partner, because every time you do something, you need to report straight to them. I have a weekly contact with the board members. That's the reality. So it's really an active role, not just a reporting line. Meaning when I sit down with CEO, I sit down with the management, probably because I'm friendly, they accept me and we have a discussion, but they know at the end of the day, they cannot trust me because the board asks me to control the CEO and the rest of management. That's also depends on the history of the company. In our case, the CEO changes every 2 years. And the board see the audit as the only one independent that can even oversee the activity done by the CEO and the management team. So it is a specific situation. But this triggered the question, how we should play the independency role in this case, because it could be a trap that we always say, we claim that we are independent. My question is, yes, we are independent. My dependent means that we are just reporting line on the way you interpret your role. I think it's more the other way around. So it's the way you deal with the other. You don't change your mind if someone tells you, I disagree in terms of rating on the reporting or the areas to cover. If you are able to manage that, you can do other activities without a problem because the people know that at the end of the day, you decide yourself. You listen to all the others, but you're not influenced by any others. That's.
So it's funny that you're mentioning that because we have many discussions in the report about independence versus objectivity. I mean, it's been a long debate, right? Those who have been around in the profession for a long time. And some people were saying that we should get rid of the word independence, right? I mean, it wasn't the majority, right? But it has challenges, right? Because some people tend to think that you are too far away from the business if you remain independent.
If you look 10 years from now, we will be the only one? Probably not. In our case, we have even compliance reporting to the board. We have just audit and compliance, the only two, and the CEO, basically, reporting to the board. In many situations, we have risk manager reporting to the board, especially in banking and insurance. We have this situation, and other functions maybe in the future. So claiming that we are the only one independent, maybe is not anymore, let's say, something that we should openly share as a strength.
Thank you, Massimiliano. Before going to Mohammed, Elena, you're looking at me like you want to say something
Yeah,
about
something on the independence thing,
So,
right? But I want to listen to Mohammed first.
Of course.
Mohammed, please.
Well, for us, and I think we consider ourselves as a very lucky organization because in terms of history, we've existed actually as internal audit function before even the creation of the institution of internal audit. Our first sort of audit headquarter was here in the United States in San Francisco. Over the years, I think we've gained our respect, reputation, okay, but not necessarily love. I think just like any other organization, we went through a long journey of evolution over the years to a point where I think is it's very, very close from achieving the vision, at least in many aspects, which probably we're going to cover during this panel discussion. So bottom line is we're a very respected organization, not necessarily liked, okay, because us focusing on the mission.
And you see any risks for that in the future? I mean, you said everything started really well. Do you think there's any risk of losing that?
I think for us, obviously, we're trying to move away from just providing assurance services. We've been providing advisory services, and in fact, there is a KPI that measure our progress, and that gets reported to the audit committee. Almost in every quarter, but obviously there is hard work that you need to exercise to be able to really demonstrate that value and start to get repeated customers from your own clients. It's not something easy because there is the marketing side. You have to go very strong with that, but then obviously should not be over marketing, because if you don't have the resources required to be able to honor your commitments, that's going to be sort of big setback.
So you mentioned two interesting concepts, Mohammed, customer focus, on marketing. I would like to talk a little bit about it, but first, Helen,
sure.
I think you wanted to say something about the independence versus objectivity thing.
Independence, for a reason why it's important, is because we can provide that fresh perspective. But I do believe it's an art, because they have to stay close enough to know what's going on in the business, right? That's why I regularly catch up with business leaders, operations heads, right, to know what's going on. But at the same time, independence really is a state of mind. You have to obtain the objectivity, so they can critically challenge the status quo and provide quality challenge.
So you think, for instance, the internal auditor should be part of the executive committee of the...
We attend all the executive committee meetings.
You attend
right?
all of them?
Yeah. We have a seat at the high table. Okay. And I think to cultivate that relationship, when we attend to the meetings as observer, right? But we do provide advice. We're not as part of the decision making, but when the CEO asks you what's your point of view, right? You've got to have a point of view. Otherwise, why should I invite you next time, right? You're just silent.
Yeah. So I remember I was talking, I think it was last year, to an internal auditor in Latin America, we were talking about this, right? And it was 2 years ago when the metaverse started, being very trendy. And he asked me that the CEO asked him, what do you think at the metaverse? Because we have this company that wants to sell us land in the metaverse. So what should we do, right? And I like what you said, that we need to have an opinion.
Yeah, you've got to have a point of view, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Massimiliano?
I was in the same situation, one of my previous experience, where the audit was seated at the, let's say, board meeting. I mean, we call it, let's say, was an executive committee meeting at the regional level, and the one that was a global one. And I was sitting there. At the time, was responsible for Africa, Middle East. I remember it was a president with all the management team for that region. And I was sitting as an auditor, and I said, yeah, fantastic, because I heard a lot of new stuff, especially on business. And yeah, the first few times they were asking me during a roundtable, do we need to enter in Morocco market? What do you think in terms of what are the risks you see it? And wow, they see risk. I never touched Morocco in my life. I mean, we were not there. So why? So at the beginning, I had to adapt my view from previous type of assurance provided. Usually, as our profession needs a lot of time, evidence to express any opinion. That's our trap to move to the advisory role, because we need to be quick enough, efficient to deal in the situation, because otherwise they never see us as a trusted advisor. That's the point. But the key point is we need to speak the same language. We need to have the business acumen that we don't know. Most of us doesn't have. We don't have experience. If you look, I started as external auditor. I was at Arthur Andersen many years ago before Aaron. I left 2 years before, thanks God.
So it wasn't you, right?
And that was not me.
Okay.
And I started in the years after, until a few years ago, I was recruiting only people coming from financial background, from an external audit company. That I'm not doing anymore. I'm not recruiting any more that people, because I think otherwise we remain at that concept. I need people from the business, now data scientists, whatever we need, we will talk about this, but people that have an experience in the business, because otherwise they never see us as a partner. Because you be clever, you can study, you can be seated at the board level, you can sit in this management team, steering committee, but they always see you person with not business experience. So in that situation, and it was, for instance, was in Heineken at the time, there was very frequent the change inside. So there was people, but there was a career path. So if you enter in the audit, for sure you step out with a bigger grading, bigger salary, bigger position. There was a clear, let's say, plan to do it. Not every company that can do it, because maybe the size is not that big, is not recognizing the role at that level. But I think we need to sit down, because what we miss as a profession, information from the business. Because usually we have our audit plan, if you are lucky, or if you are capable, it's more ad hoc situation, we establish a good relation, we have some certain flow going to us, but in majority of the case, when I talk with colleagues in other companies, they feel a bit like independent, but they're isolated, because they are not part of any steering committee, even just as a guest or as an invitee. They miss information from the business. That is difficult then to play this advisory role. So my question is how we can move forward as a profession to be sure they recognize us as a more, let's say, person. They need to help us to have this business acumen. It's not just studying.
So what would be your advice? Because, I mean, sometimes I think, so you're not part of the executive committee, but it's not your call. I mean, if your company decides that you're not part of it,
no.
So how much should we fight for that? What can you do? What support could you get from the IIA, to get that done, or from someone else? What would be your advice regarding this?
Me or her?
Whoever.
No, I think.
By the way, before you answer the question, just for you to know, to encourage you to send questions again. So we met last week, I think, to prepare this panel. We had a set of questions. Nicole and Laura prepared some questions for us. We're not following any of these questions. So please feel free to ask whatever you want, right? Because we are here, again, to give our opinion. I think it's better if you can do it through the app. So, and then I will get them here. Right, and then I can coordinate that. Thank you, because I don't think we have a mic in the room.
But if I may answer, I think the great let's say, projects you started globally, the advocacy on corporate governance, for instance, I think it can help a lot. Because if you start to influence local, let's say, bodies, association, on the role you have, it's not only the legislator. You sit down with let's say, the association representing the independent board member, for instance. If you start to influence them on the role you need to play, are the people seated at the board and are the people that can influence the company after to give you this type of role or this sort of career path. You need to start from that part, I think, to influence the people that are sitting on the board through the association or any other local. We do it, for instance, globally, European level, because I represent also the European Confederation, and we are trying to sit down with any, let's say, the risk manager, independent board member at the European level, compliance, external auditor association, whatever. We try to do those associations to influence them, but we don't have, I would say, probably what the Institute can help is a common framework, basic principle that we need to discuss. I will not say the common material because they need to be customized, but at least some principle that we need to use when we sit down with them. At least we have a common view, and then it need to be adapted to the local situation instead of leaving us one by one just to inventing something. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Massimiliano. No, talking about that, Mohammed, what about the relationship of Aramco with the board? I mean, you have a...
Well, we have, a very strong relationship, with the board, represented by the audit committee. We've gained their, respect, over time, a number of initiatives. For example, we've presented to them last November, our AI system that's basically helping our auditors who are not necessarily, English is the formal, communication language within the company, but 80%, of the employees, English is not their native, language. Yeah. So, in addition to that, because of the boom in the governance and also the demand on internal auditors, we've, seen great loss or attrition, if you would, from the internal audit organization, moving into these newly established organizations across the country. We feel proud of that, because these are our graduates, but then obviously we have to deal with the impact, of that. So we're talking about, maybe at least when it comes to the fresh, graduates, locals from the schools, we're talking about 3 years average, experience, and we have zillions of manuals and general instructions that they have to keep up with. So with this AI solution, we're able to basically provide them a tool that they can go query all sorts of policies and get a very good articulation. They can even have like minimal sort of wording of the audit observation, and the system will help them out in putting what we call field memo with the proper title, summary, detailed findings, risk statements, and all of that. And if they don't like the title, they're presented with 3 options, to select from. So that helps with the language barrier to a certain extent. But then also it helps with that knowledge gap, trying to bridge it very quickly. Okay,
interesting. So I'm going to jump to another thing, not following the order, but because you mentioned talent, and one of the challenges that we have is new set of skills. Mm-hmm. Massimiliano also spoke, about we don't recruit CPAs anymore, right? We're looking for. So my 2 questions would be, what kind of talent you're recruiting? I guess you recruit based on your vision for the future, right? You recruit now the talent you think you're going to need in the next years, right? So what kind of degrees you are recruiting, and how do you think we can make the profession attractive for the future? Because we see a trend, for instance, CPAs, external auditors, less and less people is studying this accounting. I mean, they are not, because this is not attractive anymore. I mean, they think about, working for Google, working for Meta, these kind of cool companies, right? AI, data scientists. So what are you doing in that sense, right?
I think we have, if I may, it's a great opportunity because if you know, for the moment, considering the industry we work, I work on cybersecurity, we are pretty advanced. We have in the team already ethical hacker doing activity every day, basically, because of majority of my plan. I think 60% of my plan is on IT and cyber in that industry. So we don't need.
You said 60% is IT and cyber.
Is the heart of the company.
Yeah.
It's been always like that. I have people doing penetration tests the full day, basically. We have 1,300 systems. Okay. So can imagine all the time we need to select few a year.
And you have like 100 auditors, right?
100 auditors.
So yes. How many of those are?
On average, we have 25 people with this background. Okay. Okay. But this based on the industry. Yes. But we don't have data scientists, for instance. Mm-hmm. And this is what I say is the great opportunity today, because this is a trend. Artificial intelligence, and there was data analytics in the past, but never started in the way we thought. Because at the beginning, I remember very well when a few years ago we started. I was in the Netherlands. We implemented the first example of data analytics at the time was, I think, 2005. Yes, and then everybody thought that it was changing totally our job so quickly. But yes, we use data analytics, but that has not changed totally our job. It's improving our job. It's not taking our role, because there is a limitation also in customizing the tool. Because a lot of consultants came to my door. It's plug and play. Don't worry. 2 months we do it, okay. Past next year we see each other again. Yeah. No, because at the end, you need to customize it. You don't want to have 1,000 on failure. And what I want to say, today we have this opportunity because people that like to be data scientists, maybe young people usually, young generation, maybe they don't care that we are internal audit, or they don't like the profession. But they don't care about it. It could be commercially, in commercial department, for reporting, for audit, or for compliance, for risk management. But at least they work on something they like. And then the end game, if it's serving internal audit someone else, probably is not even so important for them, because I'm not going through maybe the result. They need to probably create algorithms inside. They need to know the processes, know the system. So I think it's a great opportunity to attract this kind of people that are not anymore interested in the CPA certification, because we reduced the relevance compared to the past. The majority that was coming from that. So I think it's an opportunity to attract new talent with new type of even sustainability, ESG. A lot of people that want to work in a company that is very open, very I would say environmental compliant. And I fully agree that these kind of people now, they probably are more interested to come today, and then are the one probably we attract the young generation, not anymore accountant. I'm not against the accountant. I've been there for many years, but I know that now we need people new. Probably we can attract this kind of people.
So what about Asia, Helen?
No, the way I see it, we have to revolutionize our talent management process, right? The way I see it, internal audit is a great gateway to many other positions in the organization. So my marketing campaign when I recruit is, right, this is an excellent opportunity for you to learn about the organization and also the culture in different business, right? And you can choose your next stop. I don't mind you leaving in 2 years, right? You made a great contribution to our team, and then move on to a higher position. Congratulations. And secondly, I think for internal audit, it's a very interesting role because that's a job required to learn continuously. It's never boring. Therefore, I think every internal auditor should be tax savvy, data literate, and business savvy. How do we do that? Yep. When we recruit new people, right, we need to have diversity. And for the existing people, right, we need to upscale our skills inventory. Like my team is smaller than Massiliano's team, so I hope I pronounced it correctly. I now have about 90 people in my team, group audit, right? Over 50% of them have worked in other functions on a short-term basis. I need them to get a taste of operations, how to implement things, not just talking, okay.
So, sorry, Helen, they joined your team and you send them to work for
Yeah,
a
I send
different
them
team for a
to
while?
others. Yeah, the cost is mine. So I provide free labor for other functions.
Oh, wow.
They love it.
For how long? You did,
And it's 1 to 3 months now, but I'm now want to have a longer period of time.
Okay, okay.
And other businesses love it. And as we learn each other more, right, internal audit's image changed. And our people has more empathy on other business. You know, in the past, they say you should do this, you should do that, right? And they hate us. But now, when you actually implement something, you do appreciate the challenge. You know, doing business, doing operations. And I think my marketing campaign works really well. Now people thinking internal audit is really, you know, they're friends, not enemies. Or maybe frenemies sometimes.
No, that's interesting. Anything to add, Mohammed?
I just wanted to speak a little bit about our experience. You know, we've been having this technical rotational assignment, you know, program. I remember when I first joined internal audit, you know, 18 or 19 years ago, somebody saw me from the internal audit team and then asked me, "Are you a TRA?" I said, "I didn't do anything." You know, I thought he was accusing me of doing something bad. And then later I realized it's a 20 years, you know, program that basically brings in engineers and people with you know, business, you know, acumen from the field for, you know, 1 year plus, you know, assignment. So the idea was they help us, you know, make us, you know, sort of more technically, you know, savvy front of our clients, but then at the same time they gain that knowledge about risks, you know, controls. They can take it back. Okay, it makes them better, you know, leaders when they become leaders in the future. While this is great, it did not really give us that edge of retaining the knowledge. So we concluded, you know, over the years that we need to have that mix. You know, the CBAs are very important. Okay, you still need, you know, to have them because you're going to audit your affiliates. You're going to, you know, be looking at their financials, your own compliance, you know, with the, you know, requirements, you know, of the country in which you're operating. But then if you don't bring, you know, those who can basically speak, you know, the same language of your clients, then you're going to really have, you know, a challenge, you know, getting, you know, your clients, you know, respect, which is, you know, I truly believe that's something you have to really earn. Okay, so for us, for example, you know, we have members of, you know, our team here. You know, some of them actually are chemical engineers who are already, you know, managers in the facilities that they were working for. We've hired them. We thought that they're going to be convertible to, you know, auditors, and we were right, you know, with our hunch. Now they're doing a fantastic, you know, job. Our company is so huge. We have almost, you know, 67 what we call administrative, you know, area. It's a huge sort of, you know, leg, you know, of operations. And they just compete with us over the chemical engineers, mechanical engineers. So we try to really create, you know, good, you know, selling points, you know, for them by telling them this is a career that, you know, probably none of your professors have, you know, sort of brought to your attention as a possibility. And then we just, you know, show them, you know, how great they can be in the future. Because when you think about, you know, our company, we're, you know, in the business of hydrocarbon. So our affiliates mostly going to be in the refining and the, you know, upstream, you know, business. So who's better to head that audit function than a chemical engineer who, you know, basically, you know, get the CI certification, you know, CFE and maybe CISA along with that, to be able to really, you know, gain, you know, the trust, you know, of the management, you know, there. That type of, you know, caliber would be definitely invited, you know, to sit, you know, on the, you know, management, you know, team, because he understands, you know, the business. So if you tell me, even for a small grocery, store, if the owner of that grocery store needs to hire an auditor, and that auditor is not willing to understand how this, business, operates, how the money is made at the end of the day, how shelves are restored, then he is not really the right, auditor, for that, business.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes?
If I may, I just want to add on one more thing about,
Is it working or maybe it moved?
Is that working?
Yeah, it's very loud.
Just want to add more thing. I think for internal auditors, for our talent development, I think one thing is quite important is soft skills, which is much harder to acquire than the technical skills, right? Yeah. So I think it's quite important for internal auditor to have that executive presence, right? In addition to the board relationship, a quarterly audit committee meeting, we also got quarterly reporting to the executive management. And, so we can bring whatever we want to say to the C-suites on a quarterly basis. And we have this bidding process, right? Anyone in the audit can present to the executive committee. You just put up your hands, right? There's competition now.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Any level?
Yes, but obviously if it's just first year, right, he wouldn't want to put up his hands, right? But I do have tried managers presenting to the CEOs, CFO, and CRO, etc. And we prepare them, of course. Yes. We dry run, right? And then they start to appreciate more what C-level wants, right? It's very difficult to say, you have to think like C-suite, you're not there yet. But with more interaction, even though just sit there, right, you understand a bit more. I think that process really helped my team, to get improved.
And soft skills is one of the things that came up in the Vision.
Yeah, but Monday food for thought, 10 minutes. Each member present. If we sponsor them for external trainings, there's one condition: they have to share what they've learned. I mean, this is also a kind of learning for them, internalize what they've learned, and also to communicate, articulate to other team members. We also have what we call briefing session to other functions. We're talking about various stuff like risk culture, cybersecurity. Just.
I love it because I agree with you. Soft skills is probably the most difficult set of skills to acquire. And sometimes you get these courses, this training on leadership, training on communication. I'm not sure if you get those skills just with the training course or with the LinkedIn course. That's why I love this approach, Helen. Yeah.
And the internal audit is the perfect profession to train up, you see? There's always friction, right? It's always a conflict.
So one thing that I must confess that it frustrated a little bit when I started working on the report, and I think the three of you mentioned this, this police viewed, people, the company, the perception they have from the internal audit is that we're the policeman. I started in internal audit like 20-something years ago. That was a discussion by then, 25 years ago. I would go to the profession and I just read articles. We need to fight about the be perceived as police, the internal affairs. And when I started seeing that in the report, I don't remember the numbers, but I think it's like 48% of the people still think that we are the police, right? So what do you think we can do, in the future? And you have a marketing plan for that, which I think is great, but what can we do, right? Because 25 years later, I feel that we haven't moved that much, right? What do you think? Yep. You go first, Helen, maybe you, Mohammed? Or...
I can go first?
Yes.
Okay. I think, obviously, not investing in technology and continuing to do things in the old fashion. For us, for example, we went through this long journey of introducing data analytics. At a certain point in time, everybody was just confused about it, not too sure about what the outcome of that, and even having doubts on being able to get to a point where you can basically ask for some data and get that during the audit, and not after the audit is over. So moving away from sampling into inspection, the full population, giving your clients the confidence that you're not really the typical old-fashioned auditor, but you're truly a partner, and also proving that you can add value. For example, in our case, the government has formed the oversight and anti-corruption organization for in Arabic it's called Nazaha, which translates to integrity. And the minute that organization was formed, we started to receive huge number of allegations that were referred to us by the government. The minute we started to demonstrate to our own management and leadership the fact that all of these have been noted, investigated, there is a report that shows basically us doing our due diligence as internal audit organization. We immediately gained not only the respect and the appreciation of our audit committee and the leadership, but that started to trickle down at lower levels of management. If you talk to the CEO of any company, you would fully appreciate and understand the role of internal audit. I think the issue is more as you go lower levels, where you deal with new entrants of leaders who are not really familiar and clear about the role of the internal audit. They would think that they're there as an annoyance, just to basically disrupt their operations and prevent them from excelling and doing fantastic stuff in their operations. Only when they're faced with that sort of experience, where they find the internal audit organization becoming almost like lawyers, trying to defend the organization and sort of maintain its image, reputation, not only to the internal stakeholders, but also to all external stakeholders, including government agencies, in our case, Naza. So, I think demonstrating the value, I think this is going to help in resolving lots of misconceptions and perceptions about incorrect perceptions, I would say, about the internal audit function.
Okay, thank you. Anything you would like to add, Helen?
Well, the way I see it, right, internal audit is a cost center, right?
Yes, we are.
I want to make sure every dollar is well spent. So like last year when I proposed my annual budget to CEO, I told him, I say, hey, I've made a bit back testing. For the audit review I did throughout the year, right? What if I use KPMG to provide the same service? How much is it going to cost me? And my CEO was really interested. Whichever is cheaper, I said KPMG is cheaper. Mm-hmm. But there's also internal costs as well. I mean, that's the thing I told my team, right? Every one of us can be fired. We can use KPMG for lower costs, right? What's the value you bring to the table? So I have to bear that in mind. This is for survival, right?
And you tell that directly to the CEO? That's a bit risky, right?
Yeah, but you have to be bold, You take risks.
You do,
but
yeah, I see that.
I also create the image, right? I'm practical, I'm genuine, right? And don't only criticize others, we also critically challenge ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. What's our value to the organization?
That's good.
Right?
Yeah. Like it, yeah. Okay.
We cannot stay complacent. I have kids, I got financial burdens, right? Mm-hmm. I want to retire naturally, not to be retired. Fair enough, right?
Yeah, that's probably the main takeaway of this session. So I'm gonna.
I'll pass on to Marcel.
Do you want to add something? Yes. Okay.
Yes, please. I think the way I see it, there are two fundamental elements. One is the company maturity. It's not only depending on us, because you can be in. If you are lucky that you're in a situation where the company is mature in terms of controls. And you can move from this poor assurance type of role, and then you have the space to build up on your skills, change your behavior, and then go to the behavior and touch later on. If you're in a company where you still need a type of policy department inside for many reasons, I give you my personal example. When I joined the last company I'm working for, coming from totally different type of audit view, meaning more advisor, doing assurance, yes, but they was perceived like a partner. And And this company, I landed there, my first board meeting, I think 2 weeks after, I start to picture my vision on the way I see, because they call me to restructure the department, basically. And they say, yeah, trusted advisor, close to the strategy, whatever. And I say, hold on. No, you need to better understand the history of this company. The people before you will come from the army or tax authorities leading the audit department. You're the first one with the technical experience. So, I mean, there was a reason why there was no technical expert, at least leading it with the technical people on top, because they need really poor assurance. They didn't trust anyone. They want a really poor assurance. So in that case, it was not the right moment to move. I'm moving now, since a year ago. Now the trust, the board has changed, and now we move more to the trust advisor role. What I say is a matter of where you work. Honestly, you can do something, but you need to be sure that the environment is the one that can help you or can stimulate to move in that direction. And secondly, is behavior. If I look at even the team, I had team members that, because we have the charter, we are report to the board, we are auditor. We go, we ask, it's written here, we can ask to everyone. You can have every paper, any document in the company. They go, I mean, even they don't say hello in the corridor, because we are the audit coming. I'm not joking, I'm joking. I have the names I cannot say, but I have name of people working with me. They say, no, we are the auditor, we go there, they need to respect us. Yeah, but you are rude. No, they respect you, but you need to, I mean, you work in a company, you're paid by the company. At the end, you are your colleagues. You play a role here, that is internal audit, independent, but I mean, are your colleagues. So I mean, it's time of even behavior of the people. When you show them that you can ask the same topics, but the same questions, the same, but you approach it differently, it can help. And last, what I've done it in the past, now even in a situation where it was more poor assurance to this, I pick up one of the big change in the company, transformational projects. And then I know that we have many. I selected one very important where I know that my team had some skills to sit down and start to play. I convinced my board to sit together with the steering committee and the operational team during the 1.5 year project to give them a sort of suggestion during but I was sure that we were strong in that, because we knew very well the topic. It was well perceived by management. And then they saw, in that case, less a police, because they saw the result, because we're during the year giving our tips, and they adjusted even the design of the process, the design of the governance during the year, and they get information at the board level. They were playing that role. So and then they start to change a bit their mindset.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I could be talking to you for 3 hours about many things, because I mean, this is really interesting. But there's a few.
They will leave, I tell you.
I know they will leave, but we can keep talking, right? No, there are a few topics, and I have such a long list of questions here that I see we are not going to cover. What about AI, right? I mean, AI now is generative AI, I would say. You know, because AI has been around for a long time. But now we hear everyone, generative AI is going to change everything. It's going to change what we do. We keep reading articles. All these professions are going to disappear because of AI. I would like to hear your views about that. But please do not give me like the official speech. Yeah, it's going to change everything. Just from your practical experience, right? How? Because then, I mean, we see the data of the report. And very, very few internal auditors are doing anything when it comes to AI. It's like everybody's exploring, everybody's thinking about it. Very few people has like tangible things. You know, even I don't know. I was talking over lunch. Microsoft and other companies don't think they're as advanced as we might think, right? Yeah. Do you think AI is really going to change the job we do? Do you think we are at risk of disappearing, or at least reducing, our departments or because of AI? What do you think?
Let's do another way around.
Let's do it wrong. Okay.
I think they will change, yes. We will disappear, no. I think this is my personal view. It will help a lot. We don't need to miss the train.
So we will not retire Helen, right?
No,
I mean, be able to retire herself.
At this my time, I think I still have a work, hopefully, not because of the AI at least. No, I think it will change. It will change, yes, faster than data analytics at the beginning, what we thought, because that is a totally different game. This one. Compared to that, I think we need to use it. We need to more elaborate. We need to also.
Sorry, Rick is showing me a sign of 10. I think it's that the score. He's giving us a 10 out of 10 because we're doing really well. Or maybe it's minutes.
10 questions. I don't know. Okay. No, I say, yeah, we will change. We will not disappear, but we need to incorporate the artificial intelligence in our activities. Otherwise, we run the risk. If you think the situation may be the company is asking to external consultant or someone else to create algorithm for them to control certain, I think, basic process, then the risk that someone else will lead at least part of the controls instead of doing that. We are the expert. I mean, inside we know very well the company. We need to be skilled enough to do it. We need to incorporate resources, but I think we need to do. We can integrate. I think we will be even stronger with artificial intelligence, but we need to embrace now. Otherwise, again, someone else, even other function, equally important, like would be compliance, risk management, any others, they can do it, and then we probably reduce our scope in that.
Thank you. Helen?
Well, I think AI is here, whether we like it or not, right? It's happening, and the speed of change is accelerating, right? So we have to embrace it. So a lot of internal auditors, right, we had another discussion, says, okay, what kind of tool should we use, right? I think that the question is, do we really understand it? I think that step one, we have to understand it, right? And also your organization to what extent they implemented the AI applications so that have a better picture. And also your company's AI governance framework and the processes, right? And what's internal auditors' role to play. As an auditor, as a user of the AI applications. We did recently AI advisory project. Mm-hmm. We have not started AI yet. So I told my team, right, why not we do advisory project to see what's the AI governance framework look like? Mm-hmm. So we spent several months doing research to understand, what Europe, what the America, what Singapore and other markets are doing. The thought leadership. It's a lot of work. And also understand what each functions in my company is doing. Like we have a data governance team, we have compliance, we have IT, we've got risk management. So basically, what we do is just reading papers and interviewing people. But it's good to connect the dots because every time we discuss, we understand this subject better. What the risks we're facing. We analyze the risk, the AI inventory in my company, the application we use now, like facial recognition, large language model, etc., and also what's in the pipeline. Mm-hmm. So that really help us to build relationship with business, with functions, because we can tell compliance people, hey, data governance is doing that, right? Are you aware of that? And we can tell risk, right? What's your plan next? How can we enhance our governance framework to cover AI, such an important subject? So we continue to revise our deliverables. In the end, it's just a talk book, talking about, what we're doing and what others are doing, right? And the risk took that, some of our advice for their, how to enhance the risk governance framework.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Helen. Mohammed?
I think if you speak to an economist, he will tell you that AI or Gen AI, just like any other technology, is definitely disruptive. It's going to change the dynamics of the job market. So for example, during the development of our own little AI system here with internal auditing, we started to hear the term prompt engineering. Okay, it's basically an IT specialist who would, fine-tune, the model so that it behaves the way you want. I'll just give you a very simple example. When we write our field memos, okay, if we have numbers, we would like to see the number in both, numerical, value and then letters, okay. So part of the prompt engineering is to train the model so that basically it would format things, that way. To me, this is just like when the calculator first came, everybody thought that accountants, will lose their jobs. After that, when we started to have affordable, personal computers, again, people thought that engineers could lose their jobs, accountants, could lose their job. But reality, nobody lost his job. People just became better, at what they're doing. Instead of doing the, mandating, tasks, we are leaving these to a machine that can do them, better, faster, so that we can think, about the aspects that, a machine, I hope, will never be able to, replicate or, take over, one day. That's my view on,
Thank
AI.
you.
I just want to supplement on that. The interesting thing is, right? You see now now computers and AI, they're more like human, right? And we internal auditors, if we continue to work like last century, right, in a very mechanical manner, right, and humans are more like machines, right? In order to stay relevant, right, we have to be really smart.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a question that's been repeating from the audience about the perspective of expanding the scope of internal audit and integrating with other second-line functions like risk management or compliance. And we have a few minutes left, right? So maybe Massimiliano, because you are financial sector. I know financial sector is more strict when it comes to separating the lines. What's your perspective about integrating with other assurance functions?
Yeah, we claim, the last report on this is the 3 lines model. Of course, it's very clear the order should be totally independent. The first and second line can blur a bit, but the third line should be independent. My personal view, as we discussed at the beginning, so independency does not mean that you just report to the board, that you have a clear audit charter, and then you don't do anything else than just purely assurance. Especially if you want to move to the advisory role. I think if we stick to just pure assurance, maybe we can stick to that, and then we remain like third independent assurance provider. But if we want to move away from this, we need to open, I think, to the idea that because we see the result, I think 73% they are doing something else.
Correct.
Of course, not first line, not business activities, of course not. But if you do risk management or even compliance activity, in the past, audit and compliance were quite in common. At least when I started many years ago, audit was doing also a lot of compliance stuff. Then we claim to be totally independent. No, sorry, we don't do it. Can you help in the procedure? No, because then we loaded it. Then we need, I think, is the moment that we want to move forward to the trusted advisor role more. We need to probably think that we can play is a matter of mindset, approach, in the way that you interpret your profession rather than doing exactly only poor assurance. And then I think compliance and risk management could be the two. I do, for instance, in my case, we do, all fraud investigation are under us. So we do any fraud investigation in the company. So we just do it audit and fraud, whistleblowing line, whatever, any fraud that we do it. But we don't do compliance, we don't do risk. But honestly, I don't see risk of losing independence if we do it. If we clarify the expectation, what we can do and what we cannot do, sorry.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just wanted to say that for us, just like here we are doing the fraud investigations and the whistleblowing program. We're managing that, and then over I think a period of like 10 years, we've started ERM in the company. We incubated that while everybody in the company was confused about it, why it's valuable and important. And then we eventually handed that over to the business. So I think there will be situations where there will be like a judgment call that needs to be applied, by the chief audit executive, the rest of the management team, including the CEO of the company, to decide if that's appropriate at that given point in time and whether this is going to be sort of, permanent setup or, temporary setup.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much. We ran out of time. As I expected, we didn't cover like half of the things that we were thinking about covering. Hope you enjoyed the sessions. I will ask you for a round of applause to our panelists, please. And they're going to be around the whole conference, so I'm sure if you have any questions, you want to discuss anything, I'm sure they will be very happy to talk to you about it. Thank you. Me too, of course.
Outside, if you...
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Mohammed.